Entering a mine is like entering a sacred temple. In this case, the history of Khewra Pink Salt Mine is lost in time, perhaps even out of time. Even if the first true official document describing the use of the mine is from 1200, many legends say that Alexander the Great arrived with his army and companions in these areas in 320 of the current era, and that they discovered this mine. But more probably, the natural vein of salt crystals was already used by the local people. It is said actually that horses of Alexander's army discovered that the ground was rich in salt, began to lick the ground, and some sick horses recovered in a few days. Among the companions of Alexander in his wonderful adventure towards India, there were writers, historians, and many doctors. Understanding the fundamental importance of salt, they established a stable presence in the area and gave a continuous development of the excavations of the mine. After this period, the pink salt trade was managed by the officials of the great Mughal Empire, then by the Sikh rulers, until the arrival of British colonialism. In addition to the most famous spice and silk routes, in ancient times there were also numerous salt routes. For example, in ancient Rome, the ancient Romans considered salt a fundamental element for health, and from the Adriatic Sea they built the Salaria route, a salt route, in order to ensure an effective and constant supply of salt for the capital. But why the salt is so important for our body? It is a very powerful antiseptic and anti-inflammatory. It is used to preserve food. It is a modifier of blood pressure, a regulator of osmosis in the tissues, and a regulator of the transmission of nerve impulses. It is enough? The excavation of the huge tunnels of Khewra mine, which can now be visited, date back to the English colonial period, starting around 1872. As we get closer to the Khewra area, the mountains become more rare. You enter before a long plain, and for many kilometers you cross an arid and totally flat area. At one point, the ground becomes sandy, and a few kilometers before the mine, you can already see pink sand, irradiated by tiny crystals, residue from the processing and transport of salt from the last 1,000 years or so. There is pink salt everywhere, and trucks, and old stations, and workers preparing blocks. The mountains and the narrow valley that surrounds the mine are powerful and very high. The vein of the salt is going on for about 300 kilometers. It is like a secret river flowing under the ground. It is called Salt Range. It is a series of hills and mountains between the valleys of the rivers Indus and Jhelum, located in the northern part of the Punjab region of Pakistan. Just to understand a little bit the huge dimensions, these rocks range up to more than 1,600 feet in thickness. The range is about 186 miles long from east to west, and its width is from 5 to 19 miles. Its average height is 2,200 feet, with a high altitude at the Sakesar mountain of 4,900 feet. In 2003, the amount of salt extracted each year was around 350,000 tons. It is estimated that at this rate, the extraction could continue for another 350 years. So, did you understand how much pink salt we are talking about? We are facing a magnificent work of Mother Nature, a whole underground ocean of pink and white salt crystals. The entrance to the mine is a 730 meters long tunnel which goes deeper and deeper into the belly of Khewra mountain. 40 kilometers of tunnels. What does it mean to enter a mountain of pink salt? Salt can be found first of all in the sea, so this place is where once a sea. For how many ages has the salt been gently deposited on the rock, forming a huge mountain of crystals? Yeah, we are entering really into a sacred temple made by water, air and earth. For our Mother Earth, crystals are like blood or like lymph for plants. They are interludes of geometrically informed and ordered matter within the amorphous rock. Crystals are an intelligent form of life. They bloom, blossom and multiply, growing in a fractal way, with pure geometry, a true witness of the presence of an intelligence that permeates everything. Common salt, what we call common salt, or sodium chloride, is one of the simplest frequencies that we call currently molecules of matter. We remember with the two great theoretical physicists, Nikola Tesla and Ettore Majorana, that everything can be explained in terms of waves, vibrations, and energy. So, sodium chloride is the simplest ionic bond. Sodium and chlorine molecules resonate and fit together as ions, sharing their energy in a very simple way through what chemists call ionic bond, and are able to create geometric shapes of incredible precision. The salt crystals form perfect cubic geometries of impressive beauty and power. Cubic flowers bloom everywhere on the rock inside the mine, as in an enchanted world. Rock salt, or halite, a Greek word meaning salt stone, is formed by the evaporation of the salt water in the mine. In addition to sodium and chlorine, this salt also contains many other minerals like potassium, calcium, iron, zinc, magnesium, and sulfate, which create veins and beautiful pink colors. Salts, so, are specific frequencies that interact quickly, especially with the frequencies of the water molecule H2O, exchanging information in a very effective way. And furthermore, salt crystals are the greatest friends of light. With their geometries, they embrace light and channel it, guiding it inside them, transporting it to marvelous fractal worlds, transferring information to photons, polarizing them. And the effect is extraordinary. In fact, pink salt lamps are now used almost everywhere. Entering a pink salt mine is a profound healing experience involving all the senses. And entering the Khewra mine is even more exceptional because you are able to walk everywhere freely without any kind of control. So let's go into the details of the healing. First of all, colors. Yeah, the color of pink salt is a color that opens doors of the heart. It is a pure and transparent deep pink. Entering the cave, we are surrounded by a marvelous blaze of light, where the veins of the crystals radiate enchanted glows and reflections of any kind of pink. Silence. Silence is a prerogative of all caves, a deep and thick silence, interrupted maybe by a few drops of water that fall, slowly forming stalagmites and stalactites, the columns of the temple. Walking among the reflections of light, we enter deeply into silence. The sounds of the outside world fade more and more. We are protected by immense layers of rock. The pink salt crystals reverberate the small sounds of footsteps and drops. But if we stop walking, we enter into total silence. There is nothing, neither human, nor animal, nor vegetable. Just layers and layers of rock above, below, and around us. An impenetrable silence invites us and stops our thoughts. So you can enter a meditative state spontaneously. Temperature. Entering the mine, the temperature remains stable between 18 and 20 degrees throughout the year. I repeat, it remains stable throughout the whole year. So when we were outside, the temperature was around 10 degrees. And as we walked through the first gallery, we started removing our coats. Are you thinking about it? So why not live inside a cave? It is often thought that the best places are outside, the ground. But what maybe if they were inside the ground? And how many stories do we know of ancient civilizations who, after the great flood or catastrophes, retreated to the underworlds? Yeah, it is certainly possible. Breath pure salt. And while we walk into the mine, our body begins to breathe pure salt. Salt is everywhere in the warm air that surrounds us. We inhale salt, immediately bringing a purification to the whole organism. First of all, to the lungs and to the entire respiratory system. In the West, therapeutic centers have opened today, where a small salt cave has been rebuilt. They are places of therapy to fight the flu and colds. An hour inside the salt cave and the influence will pass immediately. Have you ever tried? It is really very effective. So a dear friend of mine opened the first salt grotto in Florence, Italy, with great success. I recommend it in particular for children during the winter. You will see that they will not get sick even once. Purity. The most powerful form of healing comes from the electromagnetic shield. As I walk into the cave, I realize that my mind becomes lighter, more alert, more present. As a result, my body is refreshed and more flexible and relaxed. Thoughts radiate as clear as crystals inside my brain. Everything is clear and light. I see better, I hear better, my senses are expanded into a new powerful level. The brain no longer has to process the hundreds of different frequencies that every moment outside it has to bear. Wireless, microwaves, antennas, television, mobiles, phones, tablets, computers, radio, satellites. How much are we covered with messages that generate mental confusion? So many waves all around us. Do we realize it? Do you remember the movie They Live by John Carpenter? We are immersed in a sea of electromagnetic pollution that, at least most people, do not realize, but our poor brains do. We call it stress, psychophysical stress, recursive thoughts, depression. Maybe it is just excessive electromagnetic pollution. In this state of mental clarity, I sit in meditation. Silence swallows me. My mind is present. Thoughts flow becomes slower and slower, as if thoughts are crystallized together with pink salt. Harmonic singing. Inside the cave, my body asks to sing and opens to the joy of light and pink through sound. I listen to the echo of the harmonic sounds I produce, reverberating in the great cavity of Mother Earth. The ancient civilizations built many caves in order to reverberate and resonate specific sound frequencies. Living the vibrations within this salt cave. The vibrations penetrate inside the crystals. The crystals amplify, transferring their sacred geometries to the sound waves. And vibrations, pure vibrations, lead it to our skin, our organs. This is a source of immense regeneration and healing.